guys, it's Bree. I hope you're having a fantastic reading week so far. I'm going to be talking today about The Rise and Fall of DODO by Neal Stephenson and Nicole Galland. So I really enjoy a lot of what I've read from Neal Stephenson before. Most notably, of course, being Seven Eves, which I read 2 years ago now. Oh my goodness. But I was a little bit hesitant to read this. Mostly, I'll start by saying I'm not a huge time travel fan, and when I started reading the synopsis, it was very clear very early on that this was going to be a time travel book. There are a whole host of reasons why I don't like time travel books. We won't go into that. Let me know if you want me to at some point, and I have more than enough to say. But I picked this book up with a friend of mine, and we decided to read it just before Thanksgiving, which for me is almost a month ago now. The story follows a group of people who are working for a basically shadow op branch of the government. It's called the Department of Diachronic Operations, or DODO. And basically they find out that there is a way to go back in time and save what was actually witchcraft and use it for the government's advantage. As you might imagine, this is a big deal because, hey, magic, and hey, the government can use it and potentially has sole access to it. But of course, that's not so simple. Magic disappeared from our world because the kind of way we have played with the multiverse, right? We have locked in our timeline certain events that make it no longer possible for witchcraft, which in their version of magic is mostly a play on the multiple strands of the multiverse. And so they're going back in time, and it kind of chronicles this operation as they try to do things like get funding and host operations and do so safely, as they become a bigger and bigger organization with more money, more power, and more bureaucracy. The story is told in a series of documents. Some of them are logs from people who work in the organization. Some of them are in exchanges and kind of interactions that have been recorded. Things like special ops files that are going to senators and things like that. And more or less, the story is told from one particular character's point of view. The main characters, Mel and Tristan, have basically started this organization from the bottom up and have been there the whole time. The story starts off with them forming the very basis of DODO, and continues until it kind of implodes on itself. At the time, they're kind of just building this machine as a theoretical way to bring back magic, and then they discover a witch named Ersebet. Ersebet is an older woman. She's like 89, and she has stuck around forever. And she approaches Mel, mysteriously knowing about this project, saying, "You need me, I'm here." Overall, I wish that I could give you more of a plot synopsis, but the truth of the matter is there really isn't a plot in this. It's kind of just like, here's this organization, let's use it to look at cool things in the past. And then the Neal Stephenson thing where he looks at a topic in depth for like 300 pages and doesn't necessarily go anywhere with it. And this would have been totally fine with me if it weren't for the fact that the characters were kind of sucky. There was not a lot of emotional depth or character differentiation. A lot of the times it felt like the characters were there to serve the purpose that they kind of can bring to the organization and had no other depth. So Mel was very smart at language, and that was basically all she ever did. Tristan, the main guy, was really good at being a cop, and so that's what he did. The interesting characters, I think, get kind of glossed over in an attempt to do something else, to kind of come up with this varied plot line, but there really isn't a plot, and so leaving the interesting characters on the table, like Ersebet, who doesn't get a ton of acknowledgement, is really just kind of a bummer. As I was reading it, it became very clear when Neal Stephenson was writing and when his co-writer was writing. Nicole Galland I think is the source of a lot of the attempts at character relationships. I'm not so sure that she's successful at it. There's a lot of an attempt to make Mel and Tristan kind of a Mulder-Scully kind of deal, and their relationship falls totally flat. The attempts at humor in the book are a lot of strike-through humor, so it'll be like, here's my professional log. I struck through some semblance of curse words and inappropriate phrasing and rewrote it the way I probably would have if I'd actually cared that I was writing in a professional document. And a lot of that to me just doesn't fly. A lot of the attempts at creating interesting characters just get dropped mid-story. There is a character who's very good at technology and is also kind of a D&D guy. He plays a lot with swords and swordplay, so they initially bring him on to teach them how to do that because they're going back in time. And this guy, Mortimer, winds up just being an excuse to play at being a geek. He doesn't really have interesting things to contribute or like any real humor in what he's doing, but he's played off as being really funny. It's kind of like watching Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory, but worse. There is at one point a warrior from I think it's like 1400 Constantinople who comes forward in time, which could have been really interesting, and then becomes like an excuse for him to then have a lot of poems. A lot of really bad poems about like going and raiding Walmart. Yeah. My favorite characters almost universally were the women who would be witches. So there are a couple, Ersebet being one, a woman named Grania is another, and then kind of one of the modern day witches is Rebecca East Oda. And those characters have a lot of potentially engaging things. They're all kind of these strong-willed women who aren't going to give in to what people want from them very easily. Ersebet in particular is just Henri as all get out. All of their potential storylines are more hinted at than they are explored. At one point, a character gets stuck in the past for like potentially forever, and that still was not an engaging moment in this book. I feel like this was just kind of a failed experiment in story structure or in some sort of collaborative something. It just did not work for me. Again, that's just my opinion. Let me know what you thought of it. If you're one of the people who loved The Rise and Fall of DODO, and I know that there are people out there who do, let me know what your favorite parts were and kind of what you enjoyed about the story. I find the counterpoints always very engaging. You guys know the drill. Go ahead and comment down below. Remember to like and subscribe. I'm hoping for my Christmas present to be 1,000 subscribers. Check me out on Twitter. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.